Molo Sanbonani, hello, how's it? Good morning, good morning, good morning. Happy Monday, people, and welcome to a second week of Vuka Nazo, only on the Big Daddy Liberty Show. Remember, of course, if you want to get in touch with us, join us on our website, will you? That's at www.bigdaddyliberty.com. And of course, you want to find us on any of our social media websites, well, those details are in the descriptor of this video. Now, without any further ado, let's get straight into the news. Okay, we begin here. A stomach-churning story. It left me cold. A group of 8 women who were allegedly shooting a music video out using the abandoned mining dumps in and around Krugersdorp were attacked and gang raped by these masked men. Now, these men are alleged to be a grouping called, a gang really called Zama-Zamas. Now, Zama-Zamas operate around the country. They're said to be men of various origins, but the gang in particular that is very prominent with this Zama-Zama activity, that is illegal mining, is a gang allegedly out of Lesotho, indeed adorning themselves with clothing which is of the Basotho insofar as an identifier of them. Indeed, the article on this particular issue mentioned the following. The crew was filming when a group of men wearing blankets and balaclava masks approached, firing shots in the air. They ordered everyone to lie on their stomachs, and a few minutes later, more armed men came to join them. An eyewitness, of course, at the time, indeed a victim, indicated they all had guns. It felt as if it were a movie. They searched us, took our cell phones, sneakers, socks, jackets, and cameras. This is, of course, according to a victim who was there at the time. Now, arrests have been made. The story broke and it shocked the nation, indeed also prompting perhaps a more vigorous police response, because at the time of recording this, as many as 82 arrests had been made. Indeed, SAPS launching a massive operation in the area saw even a shootout ensue as they raided the various mining dumps where 2 suspects were left dead. And of course, as I said, 82 have been arrested. But there are a few questions here that must be asked. Number one, why does it always have to get to a situation where a reported crime, and a crime which a community often speaks up about, is left until something of this nature happens? Don't believe me? Listen to this young activist explain, I think even in the presence of the police minister who had visited the scene of the crime, explain to the corporate media then exactly how this is not a new issue and that they've been raising this before.
But to us, this is a norm. This is what we're experiencing every single day. There's a number of deaths in West Village reported. There's a number of women raped, gang raped. And if those women were raped by 8 to 10 men, that's nothing. We've got women that have been raped by over 20 men. One woman going through that. I am a victim of that. I know what it feels like. I know what it's like. I've seen the wrath of the Zama-Zamas. West Village is under siege. When is your office going to realize that West Village is in the hands of trigger-happy beings? We live like foreigners in our own country. We've got a curfew from 6 till 5 o'clock. Even during the day, you can't walk freely without having an escort. You can't go to the store and buy bread without having an escort because they are there. This grass that you are talking about, ask the mayor. How many times have we asked the mayor? Please, at least do not give them a conducive environment. Please do not give them a place to hide. How many times have we engaged with the mayor's office that at least put up street lights? If you go to, I actually invite you to go to West Village now. It is a ghost town. It's like there's no people living there. And there's people living in West Village. We're talking about taxpayers. We're talking about voters in this country that had put you in that office. But you're not saying anything about the police that are in the capacity, the police that are in the payroll of these people. Because we can't run to the police as the police themselves, who sworn to serve and protect the nation, are not doing that. Instead, they are handing us over on a silver platter. Who knows, by the time I get home, I'll be waiting for my assessors by the gate. They'll be waiting for me. So do not, I do understand from your point of view trying to clean this up, but up until we see it in West Village, up until we experience it, then we will be able to say thank you. But right now, I am speaking for all those deaths that have been reported in West Village. I'm speaking for every woman that has gone through rape in West Village. I'm speaking for every a child of 4-year-old minister is able to narrate these gruesome stories.
So that it comes back to once again that question, why is it that the South African police services under the leadership, the poor leadership of a certain asshat Begicele, always have to allow things to reach this point before there is concerted action? Why are we not having regular, efficient, professional, visible policing that addresses people's issues on the spot? Number two, of these men who've been arrested, these 82 suspects who've been arrested, how many of them will actually be linked to the crime that was actually conducted? Are we seeing here a response by the police simply because there is a lot of media attention on this issue? Are we actually going to see these cases be brought forward, solid evidence, and of course convictions being secured? Because that's the story that I think any South African who's paying attention to this is hoping to see out of this. Or will this be another PR stunt by a certain asshat minister of police? Again, these are the questions we are asking ourselves as we look at the overall crime picture in this country and see that law and order has clearly deteriorated. And in other news, I take you from Krugersdorp to KwaZulu-Natal, staying with crime, unfortunately. This time a mass shooting. Yep, another mass shooting in this country. Goodness me, is life not just cheap in South Africa? This time in Marianhill, just outside of Durban, where now 7 people were shot dead, allegedly on Saturday evening, by gunmen who opened fire at a tavern/truck stop outside of a very popular part of Marianhill, and 7 people losing their lives in that incident. Now, according to the police, the initial investigations revealed that the deceased were the truck stop owner and his nephews, while the other were waiting at the truck stop to see a traditional healer. It's suspected that the owner, that is suspected he may have been the actual target of the hit. That's according to the police provincial spokesperson in the area. Now, it leaves one with a very, it almost induces depression in a sense, that in this country, and I'm stumped here because there's 2 things I want to get across very quickly. Number one, once again, the politicians who are tasked with this, the very state agency that is tasked with this, that is protecting life, liberty, and property rights, have simply failed ordinary South Africans. I've said this before and I'll say it again. Dear South African, you are on your own. Your safety now is clearly your own responsibility insofar as the government is not going to do anything to protect us. Life has become so cheap in this country that mass shootings are becoming regular occurrences in this country. Not that they weren't before. I mean, we have a situation where, on the stats alone, 67 people are murdered in this country on a day-to-day basis. Therefore, it does prompt the question, where to from here? And for me, this is my takeaway. We've got to start protecting each other. We've got to start protecting our own social infrastructure, whether it is a local tavern, a local pub, a church, a community center, a local park. These areas need to become the responsibility of us, individuals forming strong bonds in our communities to protect each other so that mass shootings like these never happen again. Condolences to the family where this happened. And lastly, we'll look at the African National Congress, that's the ANC, which held its policy conference over the weekend. Now, I'm not going to go through all the tidbits that came out of that. Just one particular story that came to mind. The ANC proposing a wealth tax. That's the ANC proposing that it wants to go after what it calls the top 5% in order to pay for a basic income grant. Now, a basic income grant, simply put, is paying, or government paying people who are unemployed, a certain amount of money every month. At the moment, this you saw a version of it, of course, with the COVID relief funds that saw these payments go out, about 350 rand. Out to people who had lost their work or were unemployed during the lockdown period. Now the ANC basically saying, hey, why don't we extend this as a more permanent measure and tax, as they put it, the super wealthy, the top 5% of their funds to do this. Now, out of this particular committee, this is what they actually said about that. The chair of the ANC's Economic Transformation Committee, Mamalogo Kubai, told the Sunday Times that such a tax would ideally target the top 5% of high net worth individuals and their estates, which have significant assets. She went on to say the majority of the wealth in this country is in the hands of 5% of the population. That's not right, according to Mamalogo. We'll have to have SARS look into that. That is a wealth tax. Now, you've got to understand something here very briefly. Go after that 5%, as they like to put it, and watch those individuals, those very same high net worth individuals, literally emigrate financially from South Africa, where, yes, they may very well live here. They may very well live in the fancy gated communities or the mega properties in Cape Town or wherever the case may be, but their finances will be in another jurisdiction away from these grubby politicians who are trying to grab this money. Instead of that investment being in the country, creating jobs, much needed jobs, and growing this economy. You cannot tax a country into prosperity. The fact that the ANC does not understand that is exactly why they're losing, and thank God we'll see the end of them, hopefully, in 2024. All right, folks, that's it from me on this wonderful Monday. Happy Monday, people, and thanks again for tuning in to Vuka Nazo. Remember, we come to you weekdays, Monday to Friday from 7 a.m. So make sure you hit that like button on whatever platform you're watching. And hey, if you're watching this on YouTube, please do me a favor, share this stream. Indeed, if you're watching on Facebook too, make sure you hit that share button so that more people can watch Vuka Nazo. If you want to find me and get in touch, or even find how you can support the show financially, find us on our website at www.bigdaddyliberty.com. I'll see you tomorrow for another episode of Vuka Nazo.